Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop.
Say what?
Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop.
Say what?
Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop.
Say what?
Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power
I never expected this to happen, this support that I have. When I feel like I should tell more people this. When they held me overnight, they put me on suicide watch and they chained me to a bench all night long. But what they said to me when I was there is they said, this is not gonna look good for us. And they said that to me, which I thought was really interesting. But then when I left in the morning, I walked away and I was like, wow, I really, they made me feel like I really did a bad thing. I really shouldn't have done that, and I'm a bad person. But everyone here has helped me come to terms with everything, and I really just thank everyone. I never thought that I would have this many people behind me, just all along the way. And that's really something that is just priceless. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, thank you all so much.
Thank you. Just a few words, because some of you are new to this struggle. Some of you who have been on the periphery, who might have heard about Rose and Kaji, who might have heard about Black Lives Matter, but have been hanging along the margins and are now drawn into the struggle. I think it's important to rehash some of the details of this particular struggle against police brutality. So bear with me for a moment. On April 6th at 1:20 a.m., Ithaca cops attacked, tasered, and body slammed two African-American residents who had already been the victims of an unprovoked assault by a middle-aged white man. Moments earlier, this unknown, older, drunk, creepy white man from out of town, wasn't he creepy, Kaji? Had approached 26-year-old Kaji Ferguson and 25-year-old Rose DeGroat. The white man had sexually threatened a young woman they were with. So these two young people, Rose and Kaji, are heroes. We won't allow. They were defending their friend. They were doing what each and every one of us hopes we would do in a similar position. Yes. Stand up for people, stand up for people, stand up for their friends. This whole crooked system is trying to criminalize them. It's trying to isolate them. It's trying to demonize them. We will not let that happen. We will protect these young people. So what happened next? Kaji intervened and confronted the man who became hostile and attacked him. Right? This middle-aged white guy from out of town became hostile and attacked him. Kaji retaliated to defend himself and the people he was with, and then here come the cops, right? Here come the arm of the power structure, the running dogs of capitalism. Instead of questioning the parties involved or attempting to de-escalate the situation, or identify themselves as police, IPD rushed in and tasered Kaji immediately. They rushed in like a military force, right? They behave like a military force. They're trained like a military force. They exchange equipment and materiel with the military, right? This is what militarization means. They tasered Kaji, they knocked him to the ground. As video footage shows, and you can watch video, it's posted on the municipal site, police also manhandled Rose as she screamed in horror and tried to prevent the cops from brutalizing her friend, terrified that she was about to witness another murder of an unarmed black person at the hands of killer cops. While the police attacked the African Americans, the white man, the instigator of the fight, went untouched and unquestioned. Avoiding arrest, he continued to mock Ferguson. Now, responding to the charge that the incident reflected routine police racism and abuse, the mayor later acknowledged that the officers' actions raised concerns and announced that an internal investigation had been launched in the interests of quote-unquote transparency. Boo! and public trust. At the same time, the mayor stated that the local cops do, quote, a great job under tough circumstances. And quote, received extensive training in racial sensitivity and implicit bias. However, videos of the incident display clear evidence of racist policing. The footage shows officers running onto the scene and immediately tasering Kaji. Multiple officers are seen manhandling and pinning down Rose, even as Kaji repeatedly alleges that the white man sexually threatened a young woman. The officers refuse to act on or acknowledge these claims. As far as they're concerned, they had already neutralized the enemy. I mean, that's what a military force does, right? They identify the enemy and they neutralize him. And they do that, of course, on the basis of race, on the basis of color, right?
And gender.
That's right, on gender and on the basis of class as well.
Yes.
This is what we have to think about. We have to engage in a structural analysis, the layers of privilege involved in this case. What's important to acknowledge within this circle is the birth of something very powerful. But we also have to recognize that something is dying here. And what's dying is fear. What's dying is fear. You know, when you're up against the machinery of the state, and they have all of the firepower, and they have the guns, and they have the tasers, and they have the nightsticks, and they have all of the tools of violence and repression, it's easy to be cowed. It's easy to be intimidated. But what you have to remember is that we have something far more powerful, right? We have each other. We have each other. We have people power. We have people power. So what happens when we form this circle, or when we form the picket line, or when we stand shoulder to shoulder, right, is that we empower ourselves, right? Is that fear dies and something else takes root. Something else takes root. And that's the spirit, that's the energy of a movement. We can harness that. We can harness it for so many things. We'll harness it to get justice for Rose, but even beyond that, we'll harness it to get housing justice in this town. We'll harness it to finish the struggle for unionization, to finish the struggle against union busting at Green Star, to fight against the expansion of the jail, to fight against them bringing these fascist organizations in with the expansion of the airport, CBP, ICE, all of those struggles. We can harness it, right? So we know that the police, we know that the various agencies of repression, that they claim to have a monopoly on violence, that they aim to intimidate the people, to control us, to monitor us, to surveil us, right, to regiment us. And they do so on behalf of who? They do so on behalf of the ruling class, right? They do so on behalf of the 1%. They do so on behalf of the bosses. They do so on behalf of the ownership class, right? The rhetoric is that they're serving and protecting us. They're not serving and protecting nobody. They're maintaining the existing social order. They're maintaining the existing social hierarchy.
This is what democracy looks like.